Hello, hello, hello. Let's see if this is working. Hello, hello, hello. It's gonna go low. Hold on. All right. I think it is working, and we got a big video ahead of us. Probably a long video as well. As we're gonna do a 2-1. The past couple of months that I've done my AEW predictions, I've also been doing them the same night as a Ring of Honor TV review. And this week we got something a little similar but a lot different. If that makes any sense, I'm only saying that because this is also a 2-1. So, in the course of this video, I'll be providing my predictions for AEW Full Gear 2025, presented by DC. I almost called TC. DC Comics, as well. It's something that I've done the past 2 years on the channel, and we're continuing it here today. I'm really looking forward to this. We will be fantasy booking the third Continental Classic. So, in this video, we're providing Full Gear predictions and fantasy booking for the third Continental Classic, which will be starting next week. They confirmed that on Dynamite tonight. So, a lot to get through. Let's go ahead and start with the Full Gear predictions. Full Gear presented by DC Comics. Might be the last time that I'll say that. I don't really feel the need to say that over and over again. And also, it gives me another excuse to play Stadium Stampede a lot more. So, there will still be a Ring of Honor TV review. There should be tomorrow. So, there was that as well. So, Full Gear looks like a pretty good show. I don't know. Wrestle Dream was actually pretty good. All Out was pretty. All AEW pay-per-views, we've been getting a lot of good shows of this 2025 year, and this one should be the same. So, we're starting off with the Tailgate Brawl pre-show, a match that it's not really been discussed a lot on AEW TV, but has on Ring of Honor TV for some reason. And they're going to do it on an AEW show. It is what it is. But Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall facing Roppongi Vice. And essentially, the Don Callis family do not like Big Boom AJ, and QT Marshall, who did not like Big Boom AJ, felt the need to stand up for him. And essentially, the Don Callis family has kind of bullied QT Marshall for the past month. So, the thing is, I don't really think Big Boom AJ... Roppongi Vice is a great tag team. It's going to be weird as hell because I do expect them to lose this match, as I'm picking Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall, who I believe their tag team name is Boom and Doom, which should be the only time that I say that. Next, a $200,000 tag team match featuring Big Bill and Brian Keith versus Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson versus the Acclaimed versus the Outrunners. Some go by tag team names and some don't go by tag team names, but they have tag team names, so I just try to make it easier to write it down. I'll admit, I don't really know who could win this match. This might be a situation where the Acclaimed win and then they don't know what to do with the money. They're also the most established team here. They're the only team here that's held AEW tag titles and trios titles for that. Or Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson were trios champions at one point. But you get the point. Actually, was Juice Robinson? It was kind of like a free bird thing, I guess. I would like the Outrunners to... It doesn't really matter who wins this match. I think the Acclaim's going to win, and they're going to do a situation to where they don't know what to do with the money. I also have said several times that they've done these matches with all the money on the line, and they're doing one with a lot more money on the line a lot later. I don't like them. And if I was a part of the company, and they were telling me, hey, you're in this match, and I win, I want to make sure, A, I win, and B, I want to make sure I get the damn money that is advertised. Y'all not ripping me off. So, it's kind of part of the reason why I don't like these matches. But again, we got another one we got to discuss a little bit later. But the last match for the Tailgate Brawl, a pretty insane match that was just announced. There's 12 matches as of right now. They might add more. I'm going to imagine that they shouldn't and don't, because there's still a lot of matches. But this one, for the CMLL Trios Tag Match, El Sky team consists of Mascara Dorada, Neon, and Mystico versus the Don Callis families, Kazuchika Okada, Kanose Takeshita, and Hechicero. we got a pre-show match with Mystico and Okada involved. So, you know that the rest of the show's got to be pretty good. So I'm going to go with El Sky team retaining because I don't see the Donhouse family have a lot of issues between Takeshi and Okada, and I don't really see them going to CMLL, and it's kind of redemption for Mascara Dorada because he just lost to Okada on Collision. So it's not the biggest redemption because he's not in a singles title opportunity, but at least he gets to keep the championship that he already has. But it should be a fun match. I also imagine that this is going to be like the last pay-per-view to where the pre-show match like continued on to the main show. I don't want this to be a trend because it's not that different, but this is probably a matchup that they shouldn't rush. So I could see that happening again. So now we go to the main card. Speaking of that other money match, this one for $1 million. $1 million. The Young Bucks and Josh Alexander versus Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega. They like to torture the Young Bucks into not having any money. And so I think that's going to continue here with the Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega picking up the victory. And I also feel that I don't really know if the Young Bucks are going to join the Don Callis family. I don't really anticipate that happening. So I feel that them losing this match is going to keep them from joining as well. So I picked Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega to win. Next matchup. Holy crap, there's a lot of people in this one. The winners of this match get to choose the stipulation to the women's tag team title tournament semifinals match, which the only thing that's really confusing about that is that there will be 2 semifinals matches. So I don't know, does that mean the other match doesn't have a stipulation? I guess it's just me overthinking it. But the teams involved in this consist of Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, which, by the time I'm filming this, I don't know if Harley Cameron is the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, but that match is supposed to happen this week on ROH, her versus Athena. Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue versus Megan Bayne, Marina Shafir versus Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm. And I think all of these people were in the Women's Blood and Guts match last week, so, everybody's staying close together. I also don't know when the finals of the Women's Tag Title Tournament is. I'm glad they kind of didn't rush it and made it here, because then it would have extended the matches on the show. Who do I have winning this match? I'm not going to say this is a meaningless match, but I already kind of explained, kind of is. Being generous, I think Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir are going to win, because Megan Bayne very rarely loses. So I feel like this is good. We're going to give her a chance to win. And I think that this is going to be an ass backwards thought process that I just gave y'all. I think Megan Bayne and Marina will win here. And then they'll lose the tournament match to Mina and Toni, getting redemption from Blood and Guts. And then the finals will be Sky Blue and Julia Hart versus Mina and Toni. Because I'm pretty sure Julia and Sky Blue is going to go to the finals because they've been a team the longest out of all these people. Next matchup, a no-holds-barred match. Should be pretty fun. Jon Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly. They've also mentioned that Jon Moxley, it's kind of hard to say he's on a losing streak because let's put it this way. In big matches, which, on pay-per-view, you consider it a big match, he's on a losing streak because he lost. Actually, that's a damn lie because he won it all out. Excalibur lied. Let's put it that way, because Excalibur is the one that said the losing streak. But he lost at Blood and Guts. He has not been able to beat Kyle O'Reilly straight up because all the other matches had interference or DQ parts. So with it being no holds barred, it's kind of going to be difficult to do it this time around. I think, which is a problem. Me thinking is kind of a problem sometimes. I don't know. I don't want them to swerve us because I think a lot of us think that Kyle's going to win because he's got this win streak and momentum going on his side, and then this is the type of match where all that gets thrown out the window, and then it's like, okay, we're just going to have Moxley win. And again, it's been a while since we could say Moxley's had a big time win because All Out, A, it feels like forever ago, and B, so many people got involved in that match. It was supposed to be a one-on-one match. So this time around, it could also end up in the same situation. Pretty difficult match to predict. I think I'm just going to make the safe pick It's not none of these are a safe pick. Let's put it that way as well. I think I'm gonna go with Moxley. I shouldn't, but I am. I'm gonna pick Jon Moxley to win this. As the next matchup is Darby Allin versus Pac, which I would say this is a match that needs a stipulation or should have had a stipulation, but like the implications and the way that Pac was talking about is like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're just gonna wrestle, which I can commend that. And it's been a while since we've seen these two. I remember they faced off in the early days. Bro, y'all see Chuck Taylor just appear out of nowhere. They faced off in the early days of Dynamite. So for this matchup, I expect Darby Allin to win because again, he's got a lot of momentum on his side. So I'm picking Darby to win. I'm worried about Chuck Taylor at the moment. I think the rest of the matches on the. Oh boy, I just realized a problem we're going to run into. I do think the rest of the matches are title matches, though. Now, the next matchup is a title match, and this is the problem we're going to run into. It is a Casino Gauntlet to crown the first ever AEW National Champion. Now, when this title was announced, it caused a bit of an uproar because AEW already have a crap ton of championships, and even if you don't include the Ring of Honor championships, they still have a crap ton of championships. So the thought process of adding another one on top of already adding the women's tag team titles, we got a lot of titles in this company. Now, my personal opinion on it is, I don't mind it if you give a reasoning and we have rational booking for these championships. I also feel that I think the thought process they have here is they screwed up by unifying the international title with the Continental title, because the way that it was feeling was the international title was the title that's defended on Dynamite every week. The TNT title is the title that's defended on Collision every week. I know that's not just like set in stone that way. It's kind of how it was. The Continental title was kind of like in Ring of Honor. It was kind of like their pure rules title, like people that like earned it, and you got to follow a set of rules. That was their title. It's also kind of the Okada title. They just, Okada came into the company, they gave him a title, and he has not looked back and lost it since. And then the world title is your big title. You legitimately got to earn your way for it, and it's going to be on pay-per-view. And I think they, at some point, kind of realized, oh, we shouldn't have unified the international and Continental title. So the national title is kind of what I'm imagining. And again, a lot of this could change. What I'm imagining is that it's going to be what the international title was meant to be. And it's going to be a champion that travels from different shows and gets people in different companies. And that's what this title is going to be. And the only reason I'm saying that is because a title defense is supposed to happen at Ring of Honor Final Battle, which I'm excited for. Now, also, again, the issue here is I don't know who the hell's going to win because it's a Casino Gauntlet. We do not know who is going to be in this match except for the first two entries, which I'm glad that they're doing this. The first two entries are going to be Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, who are both members of the Hurt Syndicate. They're both tag team partners, former tag champions. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see these two together. Anytime we have a excuse for a Casino Gauntlet is also fun. The issue is I have no clue who is going to win because anybody and everybody could be in this match. I wouldn't mind Bobby winning, but again, my thought process for the national champion is a champion that is traveling everywhere and facing anyone and everyone. So a wrestler that I feel fits that criteria, and he had a very short stint with the international title and didn't get to do it as much as he should have. I'm going to pick Bobby Lashley, but my second pick is going to be Roderick Strong. But I feel that whoever wins, will be a good choice. I would hope. Women's title match. Kris Statlander defending against Mercedes Mone. I believe this is their third match against one another because their first one was at Full Gear last year, and then they rematched at World's End. And I really thought Kris Statlander was going to win there, and then she didn't. And now she's the women's champion, and Mercedes Mone wants to be the women's champion, even though she has, I believe, 13 other championships. I quit keeping up with count. And I will say this, because I was talking to somebody about it. Because the moment, I'm in quotations, Ring of Honor guy. The moment she won the interim women's television championship, which, yes, that is a mouthful, I got this idea in my head that whenever they unified this title, which happened tonight, she was going to carry around the interim title still and try to count it as another title. Now, again, we've literally had 3 hours since then. So she might still do that, but she did not get to do it tonight because she immediately attacked Kris Statlander after the match. So, that being said, that shit should not count. I know that we have to get in this argument about all these championships. My point that I have is that if you can name every championship she has, your argument's probably valid. If you can't, it kind of, your argument loses a little bit of steam. But that's neither here nor there. I'm also, again, delaying all this because I'm hoping that Kris Statlander wins. She just won the Women's Championship. Give her a proper reign. Finally give her the chance to beat Mercedes Mone. I want Statlander to win, and I'm picking Statlander to win. Now, TNT title match. I believe this will be the 6th time that these two men are going against one another because at Wrestler's Dream, they marketed it as Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe 5. This time around for the TNT title, a no DQ match. Kyle Fletcher defending against Mark Briscoe. I will admit to y'all, I do not remember. I'm going to go back and look if I can. Who the hell did I pick in that match? I don't think I have it in this notebook. Who did I pick at Wrestle Dream? I don't think I have it in this notebook. Okay, I don't. I think I picked Mark Briscoe. It's very rare that I pick against Mark Briscoe, and that's going to be the case here. I'm picking Mark Briscoe because I don't realistically know why they would be doing this match again if Mark Briscoe is not winning. There's also the obvious and added stipulation that if Mark Briscoe loses, he has to join the Don Callis family. And with all the tension that's going on in the Don Callis family right now, I don't really think adding another member is going to be needed or should happen. And again, I like Mark Briscoe, and I would like to see him as the TNT champion. And so that's why I'm going to pick Mark Briscoe to win this match. And they had a good match at Wrestle Dream. So, and they've had all good matches. It's kind of hard to say they've had all good matches because at some point they kind of are forgotten. I remember their first match because it was discussed on the channel on a Ring of Honor TV review. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember it was a champion versus champion match because this one Kyle Fletcher was still the television champion in ROH. So, now we have another match that I don't really know who's going to win. And that is for the tag team championships. Bandito and Brody King defending against FTR. If you just want me to be honest, very rarely have I picked against Brodito. But I feel that every argument I'm going to make is probably going to be for FTR to win, even though I'd like Brodito to win. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Pick with your heart or picking with your brain. FTR challenged for the tag team titles a lot. They are 2-time AEW tag champions. I also saw some on Twitter that people speculate that they are doing this match to give FTR the tag titles. That way, when Edge and Christian / Cope and Cage, whatever you want to call them, come back, they can challenge FTR for the AEW tag titles, which is not realistically out of the picture. So it kind of makes this match difficult to predict. So I want Brodito to win, but I think FTR is going to win. It's also been a while since FTR have been tag champions. So I've already marked it down. I'm picking FTR. As much as I don't really want to, because Brodito has been my favorite part of AEW for a hot minute. I'm expecting FTR to win. So that leaves us with our world title match. A rematch from Wrestle Dream last month, but with a bit of different stakes here. Hangman Adam Page defending his world championship against Samoa Joe once again, but this time around inside of a steel cage. Second time this year that Samoa Joe will be challenged for the AEW World title in a steel cage because he faced Jon Moxley in a cage match earlier in the year, and in that matchup he lost. And I imagine that he will be losing this one, and I expect Hangman to win. and then Joe and the Ops could worry about the trios titles. As much as that kind of seems like an asshole statement, but I don't know. I don't really. There's this like narrative with Hangman that he's not a good world champion, and maybe it's just me on the wrong side of Twitter, which could be the case. I don't know. I just feel that the last time he was world champion, they had their best storyline going on in the company, and a lot of attention and crave went towards it and not towards Hangman. And this time around, we have not only one, but two blood and guts matches being built. And we kind of thought that Jon Moxley was going to lose the world title to Darby Allin, and that was going to be a big storyline and big moment. It's supposed to be like this year-long build, and all that was going to conclude with Darby becoming world champion, which he still could. I don't really see it. I don't see him beating Hangman for it. I don't really want him to beat Hangman for it. Bryan Danielson also won't let me hit him with this freaking weapon. There we go. So, I don't really know. The main reason I was getting into all that is I don't really know what Hangman does next. Because I could see a scenario where he has to face MJF again, because MJF still has the Casino Gauntlet contract. But the way they kind of like set all that up was like confusing. And if I'm being honest, I don't know if I really want to see that again, because they've already faced off twice this year. But I also don't want it like, I don't know. MJF hasn't been there in a minute, so it's kind of like just me thinking in the back of my head. I don't really know what they do with Hangman next, if he's champion or if he's not champion. With Joe, I kind of want the Ops to kind of like run the trios division and become a dominant trio, because they haven't really done that. Because, again, this whole storyline has been built around Joe and the Ops helping Hangman be a champion and him not appreciating it. So maybe, who knows? And obviously, Samoa Joe is like an all-time great and one of my favorites. So he could become AEW World Champion again, and that would be fun, because when it happened the first time, it was kind of like a wow, shock moment, and then it was all just really to give the title to Swerve, which kind of makes me sound like an asshole to say that, but at least we got Joe as a world champion in AEW already. So if you happen twice, you know that saying, like, if I had a dime for every time this happened, I'd have one dime right now, but after Saturday, we might have two. So I'm also trying to delay all this. That way we can start a new game and go to the fantasy booking section. As I'm caught on fire and Penta just slammed me down. So that's it for the Full Gear predictions. As now we're about to get to the good stuff, I could say. I forgot to mention this right off the rip. I waited while we're got this small bit of free time. I waited to film this after the Mavericks and Knicks game, because it was a national televised game, and it was kind of close the entire time, and it really started picking up after Dynamite and Collision ended. So I'm glad that I stayed and watched it, but they kind of screwed it, the Mavericks at the end. The fact that Brandon Williams was able to get all the way down there at the end and score, and then they said it was offensive foul, I kind of thought that was bull crap. So I wanted to get that off my chest. That was a fun watch for while it lasted. So we're 24 minutes in now. Trying to make timestamps for y'all. So we talked about Full Gear for 20-ish minutes. So now we're about to do fantasy booking for maybe 20-ish minutes. I don't know how long. Y'all know before me. It's kind of I don't want to say that's my catchphrase, but I do say that a lot on here. So we pick my wrestler, and then we can go. The Continental Classic. I feel that a lot of times when I talk about AEW on the channel, I'll say, just wait till the Continental Classic gets here. The thing about the Continental Classic, I know that there's this cliche with AEW that all they just do is wrestle. There's no real storylines and whatnot. I don't fully believe that. There's kind of, behind every joke's a little bit of truth situation. The thing is, with the Continental Classic, it is just wrestling, and that's what's good, and it's wrestling that matters. That old TNA catchphrase. So, for the past 2 years on the channel, we've made fantasy bookings for the Continental Classic. If you go back in time and watch the 2023 one, I made some wild-ass suggestions. I'm not going to repeat them. It's kind of me making a cheap plug for you to go watch that. Spoiler alert, I make some crazy-ass suggestions. Last year, I will admit, I don't really remember a lot. So, you can watch that back and remind me what I did. Now, this time around, I set 2 rules. It might be things that need to happen in real life, but it's not like it has to happen in real life. The 2 parameters, the 2 rules that I set. Number 1, only 2 representatives per faction and or tag team. Now, the reason I'm specifying tag team is because, spoiler alert, I have Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly involved, but I don't have any other conglomeration members. And you could say, well, Roderick Strong's not in the conglomeration. That's why I specified tag team, because I'm not going through that whole debate with y'all. But I feel there's a chance that, like, in the real-life tournament, the Don Callis family has, like, 3 to 4 members involved. By rule, we only got 2. The other one, this is just for me to make it a little bit more organized, but again, it's something that kind of makes a little bit more sense. 3 per block have been in past Continental Classics. The other 3 are new contestants. So we have, in total, 6 returning and 6 new. I feel this is kind of a good thing and a needed thing, because if we just had the same people in the tournament every year, it would just kind of be the same. It would kind of be repetitive. Let's get some new people involved. And there's some people that have been in the Continental Classic and they just, you know, I'm not naming names, but we don't necessarily need to see them back. I'm not naming names. Now, before we get really in depth with it, last thing is I do have a big section of honorable mentions. If y'all want me to be honest with y'all, I went up and down the AEW roster page like 4 or 5 times, and I thought to myself, would they be good in the Continental Classic? Should they be in the Continental Classic? I like that idea. Do they deserve to be? I don't like, deserve is kind of a strong word to use, but I went up and down the AEW roster page, and for the honorable mentions, I actually have reasonings for these people over here. So, the first, and again, if they're an honorable mention, that means they're good enough to be in the tournament. And I will preface this and probably say this a lot. I probably wouldn't have a problem with them being in the real life tournament. And I might say they'll be in the real life tournament. So, off the top, Kenosuke Takeshita. Reason 1, he's the current IWGP champion. I kind of feel like he should worry about that. I also don't know if he has any New Japan commitments over the next month that could have potentially taken him out of this. So that kind of gave me a better reason for it. But I also feel that if they were to put him in this tournament and he did not face Okada, it would kind of be a waste. And I feel that the Takeshita and Okada match, whenever it happens, should be a bigger deal. And I don't want to say it's bigger than the Continental Classic, because the Continental Classic is already a big deal. But I feel they should save it and not try to do it for the Continental Classic. So I don't have Konosuke Takeshita involved. I also have 2 other Don Callis family members involved that would have disqualified him anyways because of our parameters. Speaking of Don Callis family members, Kyle Fletcher / Mark Briscoe. I feel that the TNT champion should worry about the TNT champion. I was not entirely happy with Daniel Garcia in last year's tournament, but at least they did the reasonable thing, and like people that defeated him in the tournament, he rematched and defended the title against. But I feel that I'd rather see these 2 worry about the TNT championship than be in the Continental Classic. But in their time that they were in the tournament, they did good. So, like I said, if they're in the real-life tournament, it's not that big of a deal. Now, speaking of Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. It's kind of weird, but I have 2 other Death Rider members I would rather see in the tournament, A. And B, I have this idea that Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta, for the time being, should be a tag team. Because there's the interesting dynamic between the 2 because they are rivals. And now let's try to make them friends and make them a tag team. I want to see that come before they're in the tournament. But like I said, they're in the real life tournament. It's okay. Speaking of tag teams, Jet Speed. I will admit that at one point I had them wrote down in the tournament, and then I saw 2 other names. And I was like, you know what? I think I'd rather see them in the tournament as well. So that's why I don't have Jet Speed listed. Brian Keith, AR Fox, Hechicero, and Katsura Shibata are also names that just missed the cut but would do well in the tournament. I don't really know if they'd want to put Shibata in this amount of singles matches over a time period. And I've also suggested Okada versus Shibata for like the past 2 years, and we've never gotten close to it. So if they did it now, it'd be hilarious after I, hypothetically speaking, did not suggest it. And lastly, Jay White. We've not seen Jay White in a long time, but if he is healthy, he should be in this tournament because he had a great run in 2023, and it gives him something to do because it has been a while since we have seen him. So, now that we have that set, we set a lot of rules, we mentioned some honorable mentions, let's get into the actual tournament. This is a small note. I would not mind if they went back to the original half of the block is on Dynamite, the other half is on Collision, because it made it a little bit less confusing. But if they don't, it's not the biggest deal, but it kind of made things a little bit easier. But for my sake, the blue block, aka the Collision block. Starting it off, Juice Robinson, Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, Kyle O'Reilly, Josh Alexander, and Lee Moriarty. I'll preface this and say Juice Robinson first. If Jay White's healthy, replace Juice Robinson with Jay White. But I feel that Juice has a chance to be in it in real life because he was supposed to be in last year's tournament and was one match in and got injured. So I think they'll give him a chance at redemption. But, kind of an exciting block. I will say the notable things here is I imagine that Claudio and Brody King, I think this is going to be a big year for Claudio because he's been to the other two tournaments but has never made it to the block finals. And like I said, I expect this to be a big year for Claudio. But himself, I looked it up. Him and Brody have faced off in the previous two tournaments, and they're tied at 1-1. I feel that trilogy match, that third matchup, is a little bit needed just to be the tiebreaker, like I mentioned. Lee Moriarty, I will admit, was one of those names that it's time to showcase him a little bit more on AEW TV because he is the current Ring of Honor Pure Champion, but he defends the title once a month here. So Lee Moriarty is too good to not be consistently used. Granted, he's kind of he's the champion that's there the most in ROH, if that matters to y'all or not. But I kind of want to see him on AEW TV. I wouldn't mind it, and this would be a good showcase for him. Notable matches, I already mentioned Claudio and Brody. I think Claudio and Josh Alexander would have a good match. And then Kyle O'Reilly, Josh Alexander, Kyle O'Reilly, and Lee Moriarty. They faced off before. Let's give them a chance to rematch one another. So this is the blue block that I have set. Juice Robinson, Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, Kyle O'Reilly, Josh Alexander, and Lee Moriarty. It's now for the gold block, the Dynamite block, the big block. Obvious number one, the previous winner, Kazuchika Okada, Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, the Bastard Pac, Bandito, and Roderick Strong. I really wanted Roderick Strong in last year's tournament, and he wasn't. So I feel that he should definitely be in this year's. If he isn't, I'm going to be kind of a little bit salty. Okada and Roddy had a great match in Ring of Honor in 2015, and I kind of want to see them run it back and do it again. And I feel this would be a good setting for that. The Bastard Pac versus Bandito, and the Bastard Pac versus Ricochet. It's been a while. I don't think Pac has ever faced Bandito. If he has, it has not happened in AEW, I feel. So, Pac and Bandito, Pac and Ricochet. It's been a while since we've seen Pac properly as a singles competitor. So, I feel, again, the Continental Classic would be a good setting for that. So, I will also say this. I saw this on Twitter, and I saw it from several people, so that's why I'm not just going to single this out. There's an idea, because Okada and Claudio had a match last year, and it went to a time limit draw, and they never really properly followed up on it. And I think it would be reasonable to follow it up here. I'm not going to say it's time for Okada to lose the Continental Championship, but again, he has had this title for a long time. Claudio Castagnoli has never held a proper singles title in AEW. He's been Ring of Honor World Champion, but that was mainly focused on ROH TV. I remember that time period where I really hated ROH titles on AEW TV, but that's not to be discussed here. But I think it's time. I want to see Claudio win this year's Continental Classic. I wouldn't be against Claudio winning. And I'll also say this. You could put them in the same block and have Okada win their initial matchup, and then they can rematch again in the finals, and Claudio win there and win the championship off of it. I know I had them in separate blocks, but I thought of that as well if they really wanted like another tied scenario between the two. I also don't know, but I imagine that they'll do like they did last year where other block members face each other in the block finals. That way we're getting different matchups, which led to fun results at last year's World's End. So, for my blue block, Juice Robinson, Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, Kyle O'Reilly, Josh Alexander, Lee Moriarty. For my gold block, Kazuchika Okada, Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, The Bastard Pac, Bandito, and Roderick Strong. With Claudio and Okada facing off in the finals, and Claudio being the new Continental Champion. So, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We only talked about it for 12 minutes. So, there is that. It's very hard to do this. It's very hard. Because it's one of those situations where if I don't say a name, I feel like I'm making someone upset. Which I don't really want to do. But I learned very early on. You can never please everybody. So don't even try. So there's that. So we're going to play one more game of Stadium Stampede. We're just going to talk about some random stuff. I don't really know what to talk about right off the top. But obviously, I'm really looking forward to the Continental Classic. Full Gear should be fun. Presented by DC Comics. Got it in there one more time. Ring of Honor. I will admit to y'all, we got the ROH review. We should have an ROH review. I always preface this by saying we should have an ROH review this week. I never know what's going to happen because something can come up and then, it gets delayed or it just doesn't happen. We have not had that happen yet. But I always got to preface it. But advertised for this week is Athena defending against Harley Cameron. Final battle is 2 Fridays away, I believe. Yes, because it's December 5th. So not this Friday or the Friday after that. You know what? I'm going to go to the Final Battle Wikipedia page. Because I know the Women's Pure Title Tournament Finals is supposed to be at Final Battle. And I know that a national title match is supposed to happen at Final Battle. They are advertising it on the Wikipedia. Lee Moriarty defending the Pure title against Commander, which I kind of wish Lee was facing somebody else. But at least the two have history. I just remember, this is funny. And I'm sorry that, so I'm reading someone's Continental Classic fantasy booking on Twitter. And they have Swerve Strickland and Darby Allin involved. If Swerve is healthy, I feel that he also has a strong case of being in the tournament because he did very well in the first tournament, and he has history with Okada. I just don't know if he's going to be cleared. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the same people. So I will admit, the good thing is I got a week or so to catch up and watch everybody else's fantasy booking. I try to get mine out as early as I can. That way I'm not really copying other people's because, I do agree with a lot of y'all that Claudio and Okada probably would be a good finals to have. Beast Mortis I would have liked to have in the tournament, but I just really want a Beast Mortis Brody King match, and I feel that it's happening. I just don't remember it. And I don't even remember if I know they were both in the tournament last year. I don't remember if they were in the same block. So it's kind of me talking out of my ass. I should have researched this. No, I was going to talk about Final Battle, and I completely went blank on what I was thinking. Oh well, let's just play Stadium Stampede. What was I talking about? I don't know. We're almost at 200 victories on Stadium Stampede, by the way. I think we're at 197 at the moment. Oh, this is what I was getting at. I originally had Jet Speed in the tournament over Bandito and Lee Moriarty because I personally felt that those two should worry about Final Battle and their Ring of Honor championships, because I remember what I was thinking of now at Final Battle. Because at Final Battle 2023, Eddie Kingston didn't defend the world title. He faced Anthony Henry in like an open challenge match because he was like, "I'm the Ring of Honor World Champion. I should, have a match at Final Battle." Because that was not announced until like minutes before it actually happened, which is kind of crazy. And at last year's Final Battle, the damn world title match was Matt Cardona versus Chris Jericho, which both could end up in it like WWE like this time in January, maybe. Well, I would still say February if you listen to the rumor mills. I don't really think Matt Cardona is going to be back full time. I was also very concerned with the John Cena tournament because I saw an idea floated out there that they would have Zack Ryder in the tournament on SmackDown, and then they would have Matt Cardona in the tournament on Raw, which I would think would have been a terrible idea that made like 2 to 3 people laugh. But somebody thought about it. It could have potentially happened. I'm glad that it didn't. So there was that. But again, I was kind of wanting Bandito and Libero to worry about Final Battle. I want a proper Ring of Honor World Title match this year at Final Battle. I don't know if that's going to happen because the only thing that's been like teased is Bandito and freaking Blake Christian. And I'll just tell y'all this now. I love Bandito. I don't want to see that match. I don't. For Final Battle, at least. Like, they could do it as a TV match. Granted, they've got 2 weeks of TV or 3 weeks of TV to work with. I don't know if they'll necessarily do that or not. But I don't like this idea that we go into Final Battle or all these ROH pay-per-views and we don't really know what to expect. Especially because the other 2 AEW or ROH pay-per-views this year, the world title match was like by and far the best things about them. So I don't know why you would try to end that here. So that's kind of a good argument that I have for that match to not happen. I don't really know if there's like anybody else that I feel Kenny Omega should be in a Continental Classic, but I don't also think it's kind of the Shibata thing. I don't really think they're going to have Omega in that amount of singles matches in a short time period, even though. Go back and watch my fantasy booking for the 2023 Continental Classic, and you'll understand my reasoning there. Anything else? I thought I know of. I see someone standing there. I also wonder if the ring apron's going to have like the DC Comics advertising on it, because I like it when they had it that 1 week on Dynamite. I'm also going to give y'all a wild take. I've still not seen the new Superman movie. I watched Peacemaker, because obviously I'm a John Cena fan, and I like this season a lot more than season 1. I feel like season 1 kind of dragged. This one was very fast paced and to the point. I do know that a lot of people were not happy about the finale because the episode before was like a lot better. And I think they also said they don't have plans for a season 3. So I was about to say, I look forward to season 3 whenever it happens. They don't have plans for it, which, a lot of the things could continue in like movies or into other series. But overall, I kind of enjoyed season 2. I still need to watch Twisted Metal season 2 because obviously I'm a Samoa Joe fan. I didn't hate season 1. If I had to compare it to Peacemaker, I'd probably choose Peacemaker. But I feel that the way they left off, like season 2, should be, better and more Samoa Joe filled, which gives a good reason to like it. So. When football's on and basketball's on as the main and, obviously wrestling, it's kind of hard to squeeze TV shows in there. I've not watched a proper TV show in a minute. I try to keep up with Abbott Elementary. That's kind of like the only like live show I watch. And it just kind of pisses me off because they make too many damn Eagles references. And as a Packers fan, I don't really want to see that. So I try to like binge it all at once. Last year, I ended up binging it all at once when the football season was done. So I've missed like the last month worth of Abbott Elementary, and I've not. I'm gonna binge watch all of Twisted Metal season 2 at whenever football and or basketball is not on. Which I'll probably play my game while this is uploading. If there's no new YouTube videos, I might watch Twisted Metal. I'm not making any guarantees. So enough of that random, side talking. Kind of a shoot in the breeze throwback there. So I appreciate y'all all for watching this. Let me know what you want to see happen at Full Gear presented by DC Comics and or the third ever Continental Classic, which should be starting next week. I think this was nice and fun. I'll see y'all when I see y'all, because I'm out for now. Goodbye, and stay safe, and have fun. There's a lot of things you can do. Or don't do any of it. You should stay safe, though. You should stay safe, though.